Okay, all right. Hello, and welcome to today's video, where we're going to be talking about how to navigate teachers, how to navigate taking in information from absolutely imperfect people, and how to figure out a way of balancing seeing people as authorities where they are authorities, balancing understanding that every human being has their flaws, has their blind spots, has their issues that they have not dealt with in their own life that they are always going to bring to anything that they kind of teach within spirituality, self-help, personal growth, because that's what we're talking about here, right? Like, I'm not talking about necessarily teachers in like an academic context or um, in the context of something more intellectual and linear, and there are just like facts that we can know and facts that we teach because they are the facts. That exists. We want to listen to those people. Those authorities do exist. And I know that even like, right, like living in our kind of information saturated world, we are kind of seeing a turn away from the idea that there is any form of actual authority on the planet, and that anyone can learn anything and anyone can understand anything and anyone can become an expert at anything. And then at the same time, that we're losing our faith in institutions at a pretty rapid rate, I think. And so there's a lot of doubt and questioning in terms of like who we can trust, in terms of like people who have degrees and people who have been through university and all this stuff. And I want to talk about all of this today. So this again is like a pretty wide topic, and I really want us to be able to look at it with a nuanced perspective, because again, navigating our world, which is incredibly complex, is simply not easy. And at the same time, understanding that none of us are ever going to have a full view of reality. None of us are ever going to fully understand how everything works. And we are all going to, at some point, need the advice, the support, the counsel, the information of someone outside of ourselves. Okay, right? Like, so, like, I don't believe in the trope of everything that you ever need to know is within you. I don't think that that's true. Like there are definitely things that other people have spent their entire lives studying that you don't need to spend your entire life studying to get the benefits, because you can listen to someone who's done all this work for you. And at the same time, we can understand that there are things in reality that are incredibly complex and that require a long period of study for somebody to really deeply understand. And we want to be able to listen to those people and get their information and see that their opinion on things may be more reasonable and more have more authority and have more weight than a lay person, because they do know and understand how reality works in that specific field more than other people do. Okay? So this is a part of being alive, is learning how to discern where somebody is an expert, how someone is an expert, if we should be taking their advice, how to take their advice, and then where to write them off, or where we can even say, like, yeah, okay, they have a lot of really good ideas and authority to speak in this area, but maybe now that they're speaking in this area, they don't have that much to say, and it's not as something I should take as seriously. And where we should be able to say, you know what, this person probably does know better than me, and I should defer to their understanding, versus maybe I know better over here, or I have more information than this person and I'm going to defer to my own understanding. And like the difference between like when do I use my intuition and when do I use my inner guidance to tell me when I should or shouldn't listen to somebody versus okay, maybe this person's viewpoint like really contradicts my current view of the world and my current view of myself. And that's actually a good thing because I'm wrong, and I'm not getting the results that I'm wanting. And therefore maybe I should defer to someone else. Like this is all a part of being alive. And so I know that again in our social media world, people really try to simplify this, right? This idea of like everything that you need is within you. I know that idea is very comforting and that we want to believe that idea is true. And to a degree, I think at the end of the day, most of the things that we need to learn in life and most of the things that are going to be relevant to our understanding anyways are going to have something to do with our lived experience, with the things that we actually go through on a day-to-day basis that affect how we are experiencing our world. And so this idea of the information is within you, I think we can look at that and say, you can look at your actual experience. Look at the actual outcomes that you are getting. Look at the results that are actually happening in your life versus what you are being told you should be getting or what you are being told should be happening. And in that, we can say, like, I have the ultimate kind of like end opinion of does this person's expertise really play out in reality? Because at the end of the day, me listening to them and then taking action and doing what they say to do, it get me the actual outcome that they're saying that it should get me. Okay? And then again, understanding that we live in a world right now where we are so overexposed to so much information that for a lot of us, we are never going to actually experience, right? Like when we talk about like what's really going on in the government, for instance, we can get to a place where we're like, okay, I know that all of these things are happening. And we feel very convinced because we've been given a lot of evidence. We've been given a lot of this looks like this and this looks like this. And we've put these things together and all da 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 da. And this proof and that proof and this proof and that proof. But if we take a step back, we would have to say, but I don't actually know because I've never been in the room. I can't with 100% certainty say that I know exactly what's going on in the government because I haven't been there. I haven't seen it with my own eyes. I haven't experienced it in my own experience. And again, just to have that as an awareness, I think is very, very important. It's not, again, to say that we can't be right about the things that we've never experienced. It's just to say we do want to be able to distinguish between the knowledge that we are actually putting into practice in our lives and that we are having an actual experience with, that we can say without a doubt, this is my experience, this is what actually happened, these are the real results that I got from listening to this person and taking their advice, and what they say does seem to be true based on what I have actually gone through in my experience, versus maybe this all seems true and they have a lot of evidence and they have a lot of whatever. But at the end of the day, I can't actually say with 100% certainty that they are right or that what I know is right because I don't have a lived experience of it. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not experiencing it. It's not a part of my day to day. And even just being able to hold that there are some things that we may never be able to fully know because we are just not going to be connected enough to the experience to be able to say, I experienced that and that is true, or I experienced that and it is not true, is a big part of this. It's a big part of learning how to navigate working with teachers and people who are telling us this is how reality works and this is what the truth is being able to say, can I actually ever weigh that against reality? And if the answer is no, to just hold that as an understanding and a truth that we sometimes aren't going to be able to know what the truth is, because we can't verify it in our own experience. Okay? And then at the same time, that we can verify other things in our personal lived experience. And that can be a part of how we determine who to follow and who not to follow. Does a teacher's teachings actually pan out in real reality in my real experience? When I follow their advice, do I get the outcomes they are telling me that I am supposed to be getting? And if I don't, am I continually being told that it's because I'm not doing it enough, I'm not doing it good enough, there's some flaw in me that is the reason why the theory isn't playing out in real life? Okay? And if that is the excuse over and over and over again, you're just doing it wrong. Sometimes it's true. We can be not doing enough. We can be not doing it right. But again, even in that, if we are putting forth any kind of effort, if we are trying, if we are doing anything even remotely close to what we're being told we should be doing, we should be getting some result. There should be some payoff. There should be some, like, I can see that what I'm getting out and what I'm putting in do match. That maybe I'm not getting full results. I'm not getting the full results of the diet program, for instance, right? I can see that I'm doing 50% of the protocol and I'm getting 50% of the results. Yeah? That we can be honest with ourselves about that. But if we're very, very much observing ourselves and saying, like, no, like, I'm really doing 90% of the protocol. I am absolutely sticking to this plan about 90%. And I'm getting 20% outcome. Or I'm getting less than 20% outcome. Or I'm being told that unless I do 100%, I'm not going to see anything. That's usually a good indication that we're being manipulated, or that what we're being told is not true. Because if you're putting in 90% and you're getting back nothing, then the technique does not work. We should be able to say that. I don't think there's anything on the planet where you should have to put in 100% to be able to see any outcome. Right? That's not a reality. If we're on a path at all, especially, like I say, with personal growth, self-help, spirituality, any amount that you're putting in, there should be a result. There should be an outcome. There should be some evidence that you can experience in your lived experience that there is outcome. And that's usually what motivates us to keep going. That's what motivates us to keep following a path, is that there should be some outcome, right? When you first start doing meditation, or when you first start practicing asana, or you first start doing Tai Chi, or any of these things, you're never going to be doing it perfectly. You're never going to be doing it perfectly. No one, right? Like most people are not going to sit and do a perfect meditation for an hour every single day, right out the gate. That it's too hard. It's That's too much. However, there should be an experience, a lived experience that you are having, that you are able to say, when I tune into myself, I am noticing that on the days that I engage in my meditation, on the days that I do show up, that I am able to do it, even if it's just for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it makes a difference. I'm noticing that there's some effect, and it's a similar effect to what they're telling me should happen. That's a good teacher to follow. That's a good teaching to follow. Because there are results that you can get from doing it in your imperfect way. Because no matter what, we are all humans who are going to do everything we do imperfectly. And I think that this is something very, very important to understand. That on the spiritual path, especially spiritual, because it is so ethereal in a lot of ways, and because we all have different ideas of what we want to get out of our spirituality, and we all have different goals and different paths that we are going to take, and paths that resonate with us and don't resonate with us, we want to be very clear in the beginning of what we're looking for. We want to start with what are my actual expectations, and weigh that against what we are being told we are going to offer, that our practices are going to offer us. And then from there, I think a lot of the time on the spiritual path, what is going to happen is that we are going to get disillusioned. We are going to get disappointed. We are going to realize that what we thought spirituality was going to give us, and how we thought it was going to help us transcend reality, and how we thought it was going to help us get rid of our traumas and all of these things, probably don't happen. I think most people that I know with spirituality, self-help, personal growth go through a phase of being disappointed in what they were promised they were going to get, in being disappointed in what they were hoping they were going to get. And right, we live in a world where a lot of teachers promise perfect transcendence. They promise, again, that if you do this thing perfectly perfect, that you will eventually get to a place where you no longer suffer, and you no longer have pain, and you no longer struggle, and like you're no longer a human. And that's a big part of the spirituality, self-help, personal growth world that we currently live in. Because, of course, right? Okay, so but what if that's what you want? That's why I'm saying I think everyone is going to go through a phase of disappointment. Because we live in a capitalist society that is willing to promise us perfect transcendence, that is willing to promise us that if we find the right thing, and if we do the right thing, and if we do it perfectly, we can arrive at a state of perfection. And I think this is part of the reason why people don't like my self-love path. Because I'm here for the people who are on the other side of that, who have gone through the whole, okay, I've tried all the things. I've put in all the effort. I've followed all the teachings and the protocols, and I've worked really hard, and I've done all the things to try to get to perfect transcendence, to perfect get rid of all of my pain. And along the way, I probably learned a lot of really helpful things. I probably learned a lot of really helpful tools to help me navigate life. I probably learned a lot of really good base skills that truly are going to enhance the way that I experience my reality and help me process what I'm going to go through. But I have to get to a place where I have seen that these tools are not eventually going to lead to perfect transcendence. That these tools are not going to eventually get me to a place where I never suffer again, I never have pain again, life is perfect because I mastered the tools. Rather, we get to a place where we say, oh, okay, life is going to keep happening. I'm going to continue to have things that I struggle with. Things are going to come up that are hard. I'm going to have a hard time sometimes. And these tools that I've built, these tools that I've learned, these things that I've collected along the way are not the ultimate solution to taking away all of this pain. But they are incredibly helpful and incredibly useful when I am in pain. And they really help me process, and they help me get through, and they help me figure out a general way of being that does work for me. So it might not be perfect transcendence forever, but I have now a toolbox full of tools to help me navigate and get through the challenging things that are going to continue to pop up for the rest of my life. And that's the transcendence, right? It's not that I get to a place where everything's perfect and I never struggle again. It's that I get to a place where I'm like, okay, I have tools. I have things that I have used in my lived experience that when I'm facing a challenge like this or when I'm going through something like this, because life does tend to be cyclical. And we experience similar things over and over and over again. Similar struggles, similar pain. And we can get to a place where we're like, okay, and I know to use the hammer at this time. I know to use my shovel at this time. So it's not that it avoids all of the pain and helps me get to a place where I never experience pain again. But it is a place where I'm like, I know I have the tools to get through that. I know what to do when that comes up. Because I have learned all of these different tools and techniques. And I have learned through experience and enough time where to use what tool and when. Because I didn't give up. But I figured out which tool applies where. Right? And that's what the self-love path is. So again, like for someone like me, I have studied this self-love path. Like it's been like my PhD dissertation. I have been on this probably for most of my life. And that's why I create all of this content, and that's why I created the mystery school, because I don't think it's appropriate for every person to have to study it the way that I've studied it, and observed it the way that I've observed it, and obsessed about it the way that I've obsessed about it, and written about it the way that I've written about it, to be able to have the tools and the awareness and the understanding that I have come to with all of that. That's why I put it in a school. Okay, so as an analogy, I heard someone talking, they're like, we don't need to listen to scientific experts because anyone can read a paper and we can look up these papers and we can understand these scientific concepts because we can just Google it. But the problem is that we can Google it and we can read the paper, but it's all going to be in scientific language, and so much of the understanding of what we're trying to understand is going to require layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of knowledge that we probably don't have because we didn't study. So, yes, we can look it up. Yeah, we can read a study. But do we understand it the way that someone who has spent 12 years of their life researching this thing is going to understand it? No. Right? If we did study, then yes, we do. But if we didn't, like if this is an area in which we have not studied, we know we didn't put in the same time, effort, and energy that this person did. I think it is incredibly helpful for us to be able to be humble enough to say, they probably know more than me. There are people out there who know more than me, who have studied the requisite things, who have been on the path so much longer than me, have way more background information than I have way more context than I have. So while it might seem simple or obvious to me, from my level of understanding, I need to be humble enough to be able to say my level of understanding is not as deep as this person who has studied and studied and studied and studied and studied. Okay, but sometimes they were on the wrong path, Allie, and they can be circumvented with novelty. Yeah? So again, when we're talking in the context of something that is going to affect your day-to-day life, like spiritual practices, self-help stuff, personal growth. This is why the way we interact with a teacher is this. I will try your thing. So long as it's not dangerous, so long as it's not harming me or hurting me. I will try your thing. And I will weigh it against my personal experience. I will give it a chance. I will weigh it against what the actual outcomes are that I am experiencing. And with this, I am going to be careful of my cognitive bias, because this is another big part of working with teachers, is that we all come in with our ideas of like, but that'll never work, or but this is what is supposed to happen. And I think that it's really helpful for us, especially at the beginning, when we're going to take something on, to kind of be clear with ourselves, to unpack a little bit what we're expecting is supposed to happen, what our current belief systems are around this thing. Do I think this is going to be a miracle that's going to actually like completely solve everything in my life? Am I expecting that this, and this are supposed to happen? Am I expecting that this is completely unreasonable and will never work and so it's stupid? And just to be honest about that, like before you even start, what are your biases? What are your expectations? What are you looking for? What are you hearing them say is supposed to happen? Yeah? And then you try the thing. And then this is the hardest part. To me, I think this is the hardest part because, especially in spirituality, self-help, and personal growth, healing, wellness, we are going to go in with an attachment. As hard as we try not to have it, that this thing that we're doing is going to work. That it's going to give us this specific result, and that if we just try hard enough and do it perfectly enough, we're going to get that result. Because, right, that's what our capitalist culture tells us. There is a perfect solution to every single problem, so long as you do it perfectly. Right? And this is how the wheels of capitalism keep turning. Because there is no perfect solution to any problem. There is no perfect transcendence. There's better, there's improvement, there's absolutely overcoming things and getting to a place where we don't struggle with that anymore. That's a real thing. But again, perfection and quick fix, and there's just one little thing that's going to solve this myriad of complex issues in your life, doesn't exist. But we are sold that it does, because we live in a world where most of us are incredibly overwhelmed. We don't see the complexity in what we're facing, because if we were, that would overwhelm us even more. We want to believe that there's a perfect solution, a one answer that will take us from where we are to where we want to go. And capitalism is happy to keep telling us that that exists and that we can have that and this is what it is. And that if you don't get that outcome from this thing, that you either need to reinvest, buy it again, try harder, or scrap that, throw it away, it's completely useless, and buy something else. Buy another thing. And by capitalism, I mean just our systems, the way that our economy functions. Yes, it's on the internet, it's in the markets, it's everywhere, right? Everything that sells really well. If we look at the things that sell really well, they're the quick fix, the things that are going to make us feel a certain way quickly. That which is stimulating, that which is numbing, that which promises to get us from where we are to where we want to go overnight, right? If we look at a lot of the spiritual teachings that exist, a lot of them are 30-day program, 10 days to success. If you just do this and you invest in this and you really push yourself, you will get to where you want to go in the quickest amount of time possible. I'm going to help you avoid all the pitfalls. I'm going to help you whatever, coach with me, work with me, do my technique. And you'll get to your perfect transcendence quickly. And again, this is part of the reason why I think like my mystery school is so unpopular. Because what I'm saying is, here is 3 to 4 years of content that you're going to go through slowly, incrementally, over time. And you're going to look at the same concepts over and over and over and over and over again. And we're slowly going to build your awareness of the complexity of what you're facing. Because I can't throw the whole thing at you. That would be too overwhelming. But I can help you to learn something and learn it over and over and over again. Face it over and over and over again, like the shame and guilt thing. There's like 20 lessons in one of the school curriculums on shame and guilt. Because we need to really understand that foundationally. And then I build on it and 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 help you see how its tentacles have gotten into so many different areas of your life. And how untangling that is a big, long process. But that every step we take to untangle it, life gets a little bit better. Things get a little bit clearer. But it is a lot of information, and it's a lot of repetition, and it's learning it over and over and over and over and over again. Because in real reality, life is complex. That's why I don't have a 30-day course. That's why I don't have a short thing. Yes, one of the engines of capitalism. You can never get enough of what almost works. And that's exactly what we need to understand. That our capitalist system is going to continue to sell to us. They sell it because it feels good in the short term to think, okay, 30 days to transcendence. I can fix this problem that looks seemingly simple on the surface. But like tying this all together, what's really happening is it seems simple on the surface because I don't actually understand it. I haven't studied it. I haven't really seen the depth of it. So then that's why someone like me, who has seen the depth of it, I have studied it for a very, 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 very long time, have created a roadmap for this self-love path. of learning how to be on your own side. Because again, right, that sounds simple. That sounds like a thing we should just be able to do. But for most of us, it is not. And then how, again, we start with the deep tissue cleansing course, which is all about yourself. And the courses that are coming out now are about society and how we interact with the system and how we start to learn how to check out of these systems of not enough and these systems that continually tell us that the reason we feel anxiety and depression and we don't feel good is because we are lacking something. And we start to understand, no, there are problems with how things are set up, that these are anti-humane systems, that I am responding totally normally in a humane way to these completely out of alignment ways of being. And it changes how we interact with the people around us, how we like the things that we purchase, the things that we buy, the things that we consume and produce. It changes the way that we interact with the world. And it starts on the inside. But a true spiritual path, right, is going to take you to being someone who lives your life very differently than how everyone else does, but not from a place of rebellion and not from a place of just trying to be counterculture. It's because you understand how reality actually works in terms of what is truly beneficial, what actually supports you in living a healthy life and being balanced versus continuing to strive for these things that are never going to give you that. And I'm saying, like, but that's like a 4-year journey. I don't just throw that in at the beginning. I'm not like, check out of capitalism, because we're not going to check out of capitalism. And I teach you, right, that it's not about how it looks on the surface, that it's so much deeper than that. So anyways, the point being, when you get into the mystery school, for instance, you don't need to be at year 4 before you start to get results. You don't need to be doing the path perfectly before you start seeing results. The whole point that I try to get across is literally any amount of effort you put in, you should see a return. And I deeply discourage people from pushing past their limits of where they actually are right here, right now. I have a lot of people that come and go and come and go and come and go. And that is the best thing they can do for themselves. Because this information is deep and it's rich and it takes us time to process it. And like I'm saying, there should be an outcome that you're getting. And that to a degree you are trusting me that what I'm saying is true by trying it for yourself. And knowing that I do probably know more about this path than you do. So you can trust me for a little bit. But then eventually it should turn into you're not trusting me. It's just that what I'm saying is supposed to happen is happening for you. That you're starting to trust outcome. And hopefully you get to a place that if what I'm saying is not happening for you, and it doesn't work, that you say, okay, I don't listen to her about that. She's wrong. We need to be able to admit when we were wrong. I thought this was going to happen. I did this thing. I was expecting this outcome. I did not get that outcome. So that's half of working with a teacher. Is what they are saying you are supposed to experience actually something you are experiencing? And if the answer is no, over and over and over again, it is safe to say they are wrong. If you are doing a reasonable job, so again, we be honest with ourselves, are you doing a reasonable job following their protocol? And if you are, and you are not getting the results that they are promising, you are getting worse results than they are promising, even though it totally aligned with how you thought reality worked. That's why you followed them. right? Like when we have a bias about a diet protocol, we're going to continue to follow people who push that kind of diet. But we need to be able to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, am I actually getting the results that they're saying I should be getting? And if I'm not, it's time for me to adjust my bias. It's time for me to look at what is working about this. What are the good things I'm getting out of it? What am I learning? And what isn't working, right? And this is another big part of working with a teacher, is being able to say, okay, this thing did work. This part is helpful. I am getting results from this bit of it. But maybe this part doesn't work. This part isn't as great as I thought it was, right? And that's kind of circling back to what we were talking about before, is that you get to a place where you have all of these different tools that you've collected from different teachers, or maybe the same teacher, that you have put together in your toolbox of things that work. And you can then say, but these are the parts that don't work, and these are the things that aren't helpful. And that doesn't mean this teacher is a total fraud and everything about them is wrong, right? It means this teacher is a human who's not an expert on everything. Or maybe sometimes things just apply to other people that don't apply to you, because that's another big thing. There are things that can be true for other people that are not true for you, right? Like depending on our level of capacity with meditation, for instance. For some of us, sitting with our emotions longer, even when it's really overwhelming, is a very healing thing to do. For some of us, sitting with our overwhelming emotions longer is re-traumatizing. We can't say that every single person should force themselves to sit with a negative emotion as long as possible, right? Some people, they don't have the requisite foundation of being able to go into that observer place, of being able to create that bubble of separation between themselves and their emotion, of being able to allow that emotion to work through their body and not be completely taken over by it. And they can witness it, and they can get a message from it, and they can process it, and it can be this very healing thing. For the people who don't have those other skills, right? For the people who just get totally taken over by the emotion, it takes you completely over. You lose sense of all time. You get flashed back to where that emotion came from, and you can't pull yourself out of it. That's going to be a harmful practice. Do you see what I'm saying? Learning to discern where we're at and what tools apply to us based on where we are in our journey is another huge part of working with teachers. We are going to, generally speaking, work with teachers for a while. And then we'll probably get to a place where we've used their tools long enough, and then we're moving on to something else. Because that teacher was that stepping stone. And then we move on to a new stepping stone. And that should happen, and that's a good thing. And then also we want to see, hopefully, our teachers are evolving with us. Another good thing about a teacher is that we don't want them to just kind of necessarily get stuck in a one place. It can be nice to evolve with a teacher. Like I've evolved a lot, and I continue to add to the school because I've continued to study and deepen my understanding of this. So yeah, I've always appreciated that you set very realistic expectations about what may or may not apply or your work. Also something you suggested years ago didn't work then, but clicked into a place months later. And that's another big thing, is being able to be open to something, saying, okay, maybe this didn't work for me right now, but maybe it'll work for me later. Maybe this is something for when I've built other skills and other tools. And that's again why I made the school. Because I can put out all this free content and put out all these information and all that stuff, but I really wanted something that was linear. I wanted to lay the foundations. I wanted to put it in order so that people could learn at, like I say, like it's a map. I wanted it to be something you could follow linearly because it is a process of building on things. We can't just jump in the middle a lot of the time. And so I put out as much free content as I can, and hopefully you can sort through it and you can go through it and figure out what works for you and figure out where you are on the map right now and all of that stuff. But the mystery school is just about me having kind of done that work for you, in that, like, this is generally what it's going to look like, this is generally what the process looks like, and so you can just follow it and you don't have to think about it. And so again, right, it's being honest with ourselves about what does and what does not work based on our actual lived experience. So going in with any teacher and not pedestalizing them, I think that is one of the hardest things we're ever going to do, is to not see someone as either the be all end all or evil and horrible and doesn't know anything. We're just going to look at people as people who have information, people who have studied certain things for a very long time. And also, and again, right, like I do speak out against a lot of the very popular spiritual teachers right now, because I personally see them as being part of the problem, not the solution. I see a lot of people promising transcendence and promising that if you just do this thing perfectly perfect, you can fix your broken brain or you can heal your whatever by doing Kundalini yoga, right? Like I call out Gabrielle Bernstein. I call out, what's it? The brain guy. He's a doctor, or he's a chiropractor. Joe Dispenza. I just like the people that tell you that you are broken and that there's something wrong with you and that you need these protocols in order to fix a broken thing about you. No one is broken. You don't have a broken brain, right? Like we have self-sabotage, coping mechanisms, things that we do because somewhere along the line we learned that that is how we get our needs met. Somewhere along the line we learned, no, okay, again, if there were nothing wrong with you, you wouldn't have a wrong society. I don't agree with that. It's not that there's something wrong with us. We have out of alignment systems. We have systems that have been built from the idea of scarcity and hierarchy and defending ourselves against one another, dominance. And that came, honestly, because survival was really hard for a very, very, very long time. And we did not understand how things worked. And then we have created these systems that, in my opinion, are very fear-based. They are based in the idea that survival comes from dominating and suppressing others. And we are seeing the results of this over and over and over again. And culture and society is being brainwashed into seeing these systems as normal. And that we are being sold that if you are not doing well within these systems, that there's something wrong with you. And that's where I have a problem. Because it's like, no, if you're not doing well within the system, it's probably because you're reacting and responding to a broken system, to a system based on misunderstanding. a system based on fear and, yes, fear and dominance. And you are responding from your humanity. And that being told that your humanity is wrong, instead of us saying maybe the systems are wrong, because they are based on outdated, incorrect information about what is truly beneficial for life in general. So it's not that we're broken. It's not that we're shameful. It's not that we're an evil human race. It's that we need to evolve our understanding of how reality actually works through looking at the actual outcomes that we're getting. Right? Because those at the top of the food chain, in my opinion, if they really looked at the results that they're getting, sure, they're dominating and they have luxury and they have wealth and they have all of this stuff. But they are not happy. They are not connected to their humanity. I can't even imagine what it must take to separate yourself from your humanity that much that you can have billions of dollars and watch people not have houses. I don't know what you have to do. And I know that the people who are there were indoctrinated by their families and were indoctrinated by their culture from birth. Because the people who are at the top of our systems have lineage of wealth and lineage of being at the top of our systems. So it's like baked into what they are born into. It's heartbreaking. We are a culture that is living in separation consciousness. And all that that means is that we are still believing that the more we fight each other, the better off we are. And we're seeing the results is that that is not true. We are destroying ourselves and we are destroying each other to keep doing this. And that's what the self-love path eventually leads us to. It starts internal and then it eventually turns into this, okay, I see why we're doing everything that we're doing. And it's not because we're broken. It's because we've been indoctrinated into this system for so long. This has been going on for so long. And we've been so gaslit and shamed and guilted into this idea that if you can't function within it, there's something wrong with you. That when we finally break through that and we start to go, no, there isn't something wrong with me. I'm responding. Now, what am I responding to? Why does this hurt? Why doesn't this work? What isn't working about this? If it's not that I'm broken, what's really going on? That's when we start to see it. And then we can start to be a part of the solution by living our lives differently and by checking out of the things that we can check out of, right? Like we're not all going to just like move, right? And it's not this black and white thinking of like, I have to check out of society totally and go live in a commune off in nature. That's what everyone thinks the end goal is. And it's not. It's going to be different for all of us. There are going to be different steps that work for all of us to bring us closer into alignment with our humanity. And that then allow us to support other people in connecting with their humanity. And we all play a role in changing this, right? So it's not this individualistic thing that our culture drives over and over and over again. The world is not going to be saved by an individual. The world is going to be saved by each individual doing their little thing as part of a collective. And the collective is going to save the collective. And so the more of us who are doing this work, the more of us who are just gonna eventually get to where we get, to doing what we do, we make it easier for those around us to do their thing the way they're gonna do it. and we collectively move towards liberation. But that's the bigger picture. So when we're working with teachers, if they're not leading you towards this, if they're not leading you towards tools and techniques that you can do imperfectly in your human way, that get you better results, and that are helping you understand that you are not broken, you are not shameful, there is not something wrong with you, but rather you are doing everything you are doing from a place of your current understanding to try to get your needs met the best you know how. And then here are tools and here are techniques of healing and understanding and processing and getting your needs met in new and different ways, and working through that shame and that guilt and working through all of that pain so that you can eventually see the world for what it really is. And you can start to play your part in how you are going to be a part of the collective shift. If it's not that, if there's any amount of you are shameful, you are wrong, you are bad, you need to fix or heal your broken something, or if there's any amount of you just need to trust me, even if you're not getting the results that I'm saying you should be getting, if there's any amount of pedestalization, we want to question that. And then finally, when do we know how to just not listen to a teacher anymore? To just say, actually, never mind, I'm going to cut that out completely. I would say first thing is, well, obviously, right? If it's just over and over and over again, the same kind of you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, and you do it as much as you can and you don't get good results, I think at some point you can say, okay, forget it, right? If it's continually coming back at you, I'm not getting results, well, that's because you suck and you're not doing it good enough and you're not trying hard enough and you just need to do it longer. Eventually, I think you can just say, okay, I'm done with that. That's not working. If a teacher really truly teaches something and pushes something that goes deeply against your humane values, I think it's okay to just say, you know what, even if there's something of benefit here, I can probably find that thing somewhere else, right? Understanding that no one has a monopoly on this, right? I don't have a monopoly on the self-love path. This is just my version of it. And if my version of it doesn't resonate with you, go find another teacher. Go find someone else who does. Because I really believe that the self-love work is absolutely so important, but I am not the only one. And also, study with other self-love teachers, even if you do resonate with my work, because there are going to be things that they say and things that they do that land with you in a way that what I say and what I do doesn't. And that support you on your path in a way that I couldn't. Because I don't have it all. I don't have it all figured out. I have a pretty good map, and it's not going to resonate with everybody. And there are going to be things that other people teach that resonate with you deeper than what I teach. And vice versa. So be open to that. But again, if someone is really going against your value system, it's okay to say, okay, I can't listen to this because it's really going against my value system. It's something that it's broken my trust enough that I'm not going to ever be able to listen to you in the same way again. And that's okay. Maybe you come back to them again later. Maybe you heal from it later. Maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. But I think it's okay to honor yourself sometimes. And not just to say, I have to stay open to everything. It's okay sometimes to just say, you know what? That was too much for me. That crossed a boundary for me. And I don't want to be a part of it. That was something that went deeply against what I believe to be true about myself or about humanity. And I'm willing to miss out on whatever they have to say because of that thing. And so again, Anyone who is telling you to abdicate your own responsibility completely, probably not someone you should listen to. Anyone who's trying to tell you that there's something inherently wrong with you and that there are parts of yourself you must reject and there are parts of yourself you must see as evil or wrong or bad, I would caution you against following that. Anyone who is trying to tell you that they have all of the answers, be careful with that. Anyone who is telling you they have secret knowledge that no one else has access to, be careful with that. Anyone who is telling you they have a quick fix to a problem that is complex. And let me tell you, if you have cyclical problems in your life, you have a thing that is a problem over and over and over again, I pretty much can guarantee you it is not simple. It's not going to be a thing you realize or a thing you do or a solution. It's going to be many, 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 many things. And if they're not able to be clear about that, if they're like, here's your one solution to your one problem, right? Unless your problem is, I have a leaky roof and there's a simple solution to that, probably not going to be what you want. It might be part of the solution. So again, learning how to be able to say, okay, maybe I'll try this quick fix thing from the lens of understanding it's not going to be the perfect thing. But maybe it'll be part of it. Maybe I'll learn something. Right? And being able to do that. Being able to say, okay, I'll look at the quick fix thing and just add it as a tool to my toolbox instead of expecting it to be the ultimate solution. If someone really, really contradicts our values and shows themselves to believe something that might be very, very deeply hateful or harmful to people, it's okay to unfollow. It's okay to not give your energy to that. It's okay to speak out against that. Like I say, I speak out against these teachers that I genuinely believe are causing harm. Do I think everything Gabrielle Bernstein says is wrong? No. Do I think everything Joe Dispenza says is wrong? No. But I think it's very important to point out the things that I do think are wrong. The continual vulnerable share that gets you to do the program and then promises transcendence and then that happens over and over again. Okay, well, at some point, we got to start saying, well, you said the last 4 things healed your life completely. And then why are you coming back with problems again? Because you're human and you should, and that's normal. But hello, you're making false promises, obviously. Stop telling people they can transcend their lives. Okay, a few times I've watched a philosophy YouTube video and thought, oh, that's what Ali meant, but that's how my brain works. Yeah, totally. And that's the thing, right? Hopefully you're seeing themes in the teachings that are working. That lots of different people are saying the same thing, work, because that's how reality works. We're all just observing reality, right? So that's why I say, I don't have access to secret knowledge you don't have. I've just studied it deeper and longer than you maybe. But hopefully what I'm teaching you is just reality. It's just observation of this is how reality works. I've just drawn a map, but I didn't create the reality. I didn't create the territory. I'm just drawing a map of the territory because I've observed it a lot. So hopefully it makes it easier for you to navigate. Yeah? And that's how we want to see a teacher. They're not creating the reality. They're not holding secret knowledge that you couldn't know. But perhaps they have studied things that you're not going to put in the time to study. And you can benefit from their years and years and years of lived experience. And you can benefit from their map. And you can weigh it against your reality. And then there are going to be things that you're never going to know if it's really true or not. Because it's not really part of your day-to-day lived experience. And we can be honest with that. And we be honest about our biases and what we are and are not willing to try. And being honest again about the results that we're getting. So there can be a tendency to see results where they don't actually exist, as a way of trying to convince ourselves that something is working even when it doesn't. So again, if something is not sustainable, if something does not give you the ability to have results long term, but you're going on and off and on and on and on and off. And again, that can be part of the process. But if it's a continual, like, I can never find any kind of stability, we might need something else. Okay? No teacher is perfect. So we have to guard ourselves against looking for that. We have to be able to say every teacher is just teaching from their level of understanding. Where can I get what is good from it? What can I test and say works, doesn't work? Take it, leave it. Is it mostly good? Is it mostly useless? And can I see this all as just tools to add to my toolbox versus looking for perfect transcendence? And can I make it okay that sometimes I don't resonate with the teacher, I don't agree with their values, they cross a line, and I don't want to listen to them anymore, and that's okay. Okay? When we're looking for purity, that's when we're going to set ourselves up for disappointment. And that's also when we're going to set ourselves up to abdicate our responsibility. No teacher is perfect, and therefore we don't want to fully trust anybody. We want to say, I'll give it a try. I'll test it against reality. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to drop it. We got to be able to do that. Instead of being like, they're awful and horrible, right? Like, I don't think that Gabrielle Bernstein thinks she's ripping people off. I think she really believes what she's teaching. I don't think she's a bad person. I just don't think she's got it figured out the way that she thinks she does. And we can weigh that against reality. The results that we get by following her protocols are not what she's saying they are supposed to be. And she's not even getting the results she's saying that she's getting. With Joe Dispenza, I don't agree that we are broken. I don't think he's seeing the system for how it really is. But I don't think he's evil. I think he's just a part of capitalism the way everyone else is. He's making a lot of money doing what he's doing. So he's going to keep doing it because dominance and hierarchy, it's attractive. It's hard to say no to. And when you're surrounded by people who praise you, I mean, I get it. So we just have to be discerning. Okay? Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that's balanced. She's a con artist, maybe. Right? Maybe she knows exactly what she's doing. And she's profiting very well from it. And that is what it is. That's why I say, I don't think it's real. I wouldn't follow her. Here are my reasons why. Spiritual gangster, yeah. Okay. Have a great evening, day, week. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Check out the Mystery School if it resonates with you. You can cancel anytime. You can quit anytime. I offer refunds, right? There's literally nothing weird about it. And I will see you when I see you, probably next week. See you later.